In today's video, 3 things that allowed me to lose 50 pounds and sustain it. What's going on? It's Pro Physique Coach Ben Berluti here, and today I want to detail 3 things that have allowed me to drop 50 pounds and sustain those 50 pounds of weight loss. The first thing that has helped me has been to eliminate snacking and instead have 4 meals a day that are larger. When you snack, you are having empty calories. What do I mean when I say this? Well, you're mindlessly eating food that is usually highly palatable, high in calories, and probably not that satiating. For example, if I have a couple potato chips, it's going to be easy to have all of the potato chips because they're not that filling. They're very tasty, and before I know it, I can snack my way outside of my daily calorie targets. So what I did to eliminate this is not just tell myself I wouldn't do it. No, I implemented something to fill that gap, and that was having larger meals that would take the place of the snacks. So what I like to do is have a larger meal every 3 to 6 hours. I will have breakfast around 6 a.m. I will have lunch around 11 a.m. I will have a midday snack that is high in protein around 3 to 4 p.m. And I will have dinner around 6:30, 7 p.m. As you can see, those meals are roughly evenly spaced throughout the day. This way I don't have a huge gap in time where I am not eating and thus leaving myself susceptible for being super hungry and just grabbing the easiest food. Foods that don't have to be prepared are easiest to grab and consume, right? Something like potato chips, cookies, crackers. I can just grab them from the cupboard and just start snacking away. If I have to make a meal, I have to prepare it, and I can also make it very tasty, high in protein. Protein is very filling, and stay on target with my goals. Number 2, moving more. For years, I was a competitive powerlifter and did 0 cardiovascular exercise. In fact, I was very passionate about lifting the most weight as possible that I didn't want to do cardio because I thought it would hinder my recovery. Nothing could be further from the truth. When I started moving more, I slept better at night, number 1, and thus was able to recover. But number 2, it allowed me to burn calories through movement, through cardio, right? We have 2 ways to reduce our calorie intake and create an energy deficit. One is by eating less, and another is by burning calories through movement. I started doing steady state cardio, fast-paced walking on an incline treadmill and slow jog pace on an elliptical machine with resistance set to the point where I felt some resistance when I was cranking my arms on the machine and working up a sweat and my breathing rate right to that zone 2-ish range. I found that if I'm doing my cardio and I'm working up a good sweat, but I could hold a conversation or take a phone call while I was doing the cardio and be able to speak but probably not sing, that is perfect. This way, I'm working hard enough to make sure something is happening, but not so hard that, number 1, I feel like I cannot continue halfway through the session, and number 2, that I'm so tired the rest of the day after that really hard, intense session that I'm just glued to the couch, not moving. No, we want to do our cardio, and then we want to be moving around every day. Be on your feet more. Do it on purpose. Use a walking desk while you're answering emails. When you're talking on the phone, go for a stroll outside. Get some fresh air and some sunlight. Move around more, guys. Do it on purpose. It helps. And number 3, and most importantly, tracking my intake of calories every single day. Look, if you want to lose body fat, you must take an account of what you're putting into your body with foods that you consume. It wasn't until I started tracking my intake that I realized I was having a lot more food, much more calories every single day than I had anticipated originally. Foods that I thought I was having a small portion size of, when I began weighing such foods, I realized I was having much more. For example, I would often have a breakfast with some scrambled eggs, a piece of toast, an English muffin, and a glass of milk. I was having whole milk and I thought, oh, I'm having 6 ounces of milk. I was just pouring it into a random glass. Come to find out, it was a 20-ounce glass of whole milk. So what I did was, after I started tracking that and I realized that, I started having truly 6 ounces of skim milk, which is much lower in calories. My scrambled eggs weren't just scrambled eggs. No, I would put butter in the pan. I would top the scrambled eggs with pepperoni and cheese, and the 2 eggs and 2 egg whites turned into a dish that was much higher in calories. The English muffin, I wasn't just having a piece of toast. No, I was smearing it with butter. And as you can see, those are a bunch of empty calories, which kind of fits into the snacking window, if you will, right? And I started eliminating that. I went with lower calorie options. I would measure out a teaspoon of olive oil for my toast. I would use cooking spray in the pan for my scrambled eggs. I mentioned earlier, I started having the skim milk. Those little reductions at each meal allowed me to have the same density of food, so a good amount of food volume, keeping me satiated, but now I was having less calories overall, and I started dropping body fat. And the way I was able to measure that was every week, I would take body composition pictures. I would see, oh wow, things are changing. I would take measurements on my waist and my hip once a week. And same thing would occur. I'll go, wow, this is working. I went into a calorie deficit. I started weighing my foods and tracking everything very closely and adjusting my lifestyle so that I could do it simply via just a little bit of planning, a little bit of simple food preparation. Look, we got to cook our foods. We got to eat anyway. Why not plan ahead and decide foods that you like to have and how you can fit them into your routine so that you can lose body fat and stay on your calorie deficit, right? When I started doing all these things, I started to drop weight. And the last thing was, I started weighing myself as well. And this is kind of a bonus point, and I know how frustrating it could be to weigh yourself, but just use the scale as a tool to measure progress and nothing else. There's going to be little fluctuations along the way, but this is why we take weekly averages. Week to week and month to month, when I saw little dips and rises, they started to go down and down each week. Before I knew it, I was down 10, 20, 30 pounds, and now it was getting very empowering, very exciting. Before I knew it, I dropped 50 pounds. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened over quite a bit of time, multiple dieting phases. But I was consistent. I stuck to the plan. I adjusted my lifestyle. I began moving more, eating less, and focusing on higher volume meals. That way, I was as full as possible while still making progress. Guys, I hope this helps you. I want to give back on a few things that have helped me. Take care.